What is up, people? It's your boy NATZ, aka the Hidden Legend, and back again with another good video for you guys to watch and to always tune in. So for today's video, I would like to dive into, I would say, interesting topic, and that's about being an artist, you know. And you could be someone that's inspiring to be an artist. I'm sure that in almost every country, every area, there's always that one person or a group of people that are inspiring to be an artist. You know, they could have a musical gift, maybe singing, maybe songwriting, whatever it is. They could have a gift and they want to broadcast it to the world. You know, that's how it is. So for those type of people, you know, I decided to create a list of what makes a great artist, because obviously there's a difference. There's a big difference between a normal artist that's just talented and an artist that is amazing, an artist that can inspire, you know, an artist that they're doing things greater than them, you know. There's a big difference. For today's video, I'll be covering the big difference of what makes an artist stand out from the crowd, stand out from all of the competition, all of the other artists, what really makes them glow. You know, that's what I'll be talking about in this specific video. And hopefully by the end of the video, it'll make a lot more sense to you as the viewer. So without further ado, let's get straight to it. So first point, right, or what makes a great artist would be storytelling. The storytelling. That's the first point, is storytelling. See, you have to be able to tell a story. You need to put the audience, you know, they need to experience an emotional roller coaster. You know, that's what the audience need to experience. You know, I'm sure when you was younger, you know, maybe your parents, grandparents, probably older sibling, whoever it was, teacher, they probably told you a story, you know, bedtime story, day story, whatever it is, they probably told you a story. I remember my parents, my grandparents, even my teachers, they would tell me stories. They told, you know, whether it was imaginary, real life, storytelling is just a part of growing up. You know, we were all told a story at one point in our youth. So, that being said, most stories, from my own memory, it was never just flat. Because if it was a story or one day someone went to go get water and came back home, the end, that's boring. You're not trying to hear that, especially as a child. See, a child is like, have imagination. They want to be excited. Children want to be put under an emotional roller coaster. And it's kind of the same way with adults. Adults too want to be put under an emotional roller coaster, you know. And that's what a good story does, you know. A good story is is a story where you experience more than one emotion, you know. You have your high and you have your low. You have your climax and then you come back to normal, you know. And it's the same thing with being an artist and your music. Some of the greatest artists that have lived, you know, some of the greatest artists that have inspired many were amazing storytellers through their music. Whether it was an experience that they had, whether it was heartbreak, whether it was trauma, whatever it is, you know, they were amazing at telling that story. And oddly enough, most of these artists that, you know, blew up or were very popular, most of the stories were past traumas. They were really negative, really. You know, and it's kind of weird because obviously as you grow up, you know, something about negativity is something that most people experience. And it's not a coincidence why the most popular songs that do very well are heartbreak songs. An example I can give is Lucid Dreams by Juice WRLD. You know, I'm sure we all know who Juice WRLD is, Lucid Dreams. And that song is about heartbreak, you know. This girl he was seeing, his friends were telling him, you know, just ignore this girl's not for you. And Juice WRLD is like, nah, I'm not going to listen to you, I'm going to go for her. And then he got his heart broken at the end. And that became his biggest song. The song literally has 1 billion views on YouTube, you know. And you just have to ask yourself the question, like, why is it that songs that have to do with heartbreak, trauma, you know, blow up? Why did they become popular? Because within that story that's being told, you know, it's something that many people, especially adults, have experienced it. And it's all because of that storytelling. All because of that storytelling. You see, the storytelling is so important. To be a great artist, you have to be able to tell a story. You just can't. The audience just can't go through just one emotion. They just can't. They can't. It's gonna bore them. You're gonna get bored. They're gonna get bored. How can you expect to like expand, grow, if the story behind your song is just bland? It's gonna be very hard. And of course, when it comes to the topic of music, it's subjective. You know, I'm not here to debate what is good or bad music. That's very subjective. You know, that's very opinionated. You know, I can't really say that because a music that I may like, a specific genre that I may enjoy, someone else could hate it, vice versa. So I'm not really here to debate what makes good music good. But one thing that can be, you know, spoken about, which is factual, is what separates an artist from a great artist is the storytelling. You have to be able to tell a story. You know, you have to be able to, you know, yeah, there has to be a particular story behind the song that you have. There has to be, you know, the best albums. It was just never one song that, you know, that just sounds the same. The best albums put you through an emotional roller coaster based on that artist's experience, based on what they've been through, based on whether it was heartbreak, feelings of joy, happiness, you know. You need to be able to put people through that. It's the only way you can actually keep people and keep them hooked. So that's my first point, is storytelling. My second point is pretty much similar to storytelling, and that's relatability. See, and this is probably one of the most important points. See, relatability, this goes for any form of media, any social media, music, whatever it is. You know, when you're dealing with people, when you're dealing with growing an audience, when you're dealing with marketing, whatever it is, you're trying to market something to someone, you must be able to, there needs to be a sense of relatability. You have to be able to relate to that person. You have to. That person, you and that person must click. And it's the same thing with making music. You must be able to relate with your audience. They need to feel your pain, you know. You need to have that one thing that you can click, and it's the same thing with storytelling, you know. A song like, yeah, as I said, a song like Juice WRLD, you know, song, you know, Lucid Dreams, you know. A lot of guys, especially we're talking maybe 18, 19, 20, in the early 20s, you know, even in high school, like, you're like 15, 16, we all been through a heartbreak. I'm sure every guy's been through a heartbreak, maybe even vice versa, maybe even girls have been through it, but especially guys, we all had that one girl that we liked, you know, and all of a sudden, like, you find out that she don't really fancy you, she picks another guy, she might even pick your friend, and it's like, yo, like, how can you do this to me? Like, I bought you flowers, like, I was even thinking of making you, you know, I wanted to show you to my parents, that type of thing. That's heartbreak, you know. I'm sure every guy has been through that, you know, and it's something that is so relatable. But when your favorite artist is talking about it, it hits, it's just different. It's 10 times different. It's like you even like the song more. You don't even know why you like it more. And the reason why you do is because the artist is singing about such a relatable topic, a topic that you've been through yourself. And you can be like, yo, like, that's why I like it. You know, that's why I like this song. That's why I know people, a lot of guys, even girls, whoever it is, that's why they like that song, Lucid Dreams. That's why they like it. That's why they like it. Because they can relate to it. You know? It's not, heartbreak is not something that is out of this planet. It's not something that no human being has experienced. Every human being has experienced heartbreak, trauma, you know? That's why most songs that do very well are relationship songs, because people go through it. People go through heartbreak. They go through it. A lot. Trauma. People go through trauma. People go through all these types of, emotions. And it's to be able to relate. And also, that's why something like hip hop. Let's talk about hip hop for a second. Let me not forget about hip hop. That's why something like hip hop. That's why a lot of these hip hop songs, like, okay, for example, something like 50 Cent, Many Men. That's a very popular hip hop song. Like, a lot of guys that love hip hop. I don't know one guy that likes rap, hip hop, that type of music that doesn't like Many Men by 50 Cent. It's impossible to find them. From someone that's from the streets or on road, as you say in London, or someone that is, from the environment. You got ops, you got guys that, they don't want to see you living. They want the worst thing, they want the worst for you. They have bad intentions for you. And it's something it's a relatable thing for them. One thing they'll have in common is that, when you're in that life, when you're on road, when you're a gangster, there's gonna be guys that are plotting for your downfall. They're plotting for the end of you. And when 50 Cent dropped Many Men, a lot of those guys from that, community lifestyle fell in love with the song, because the same thing's happening to me. So speaking from their perspective, but the same thing's happening to me, that many men, they want me dead. Many men don't want to see me walking around. They wish death upon me, And that's another example. That's why most of the time, the guys that really, really like that type of music, gang music, whatever it is, they are guys affiliated into that lifestyle because they can relate to it. They can relate to it. As simple as that. Same with hip hop, and hip hop is probably the best example to give, because hip hop, a lot of guys that love hip hop, it's the main reason is because, some songs sound nice, but because they can relate to it. They can relate to the message behind the songs. It resonates with them the most. That's why. So that's my first point, that's my second point. Relatability is everything, That's why when you go to a Taylor Swift concert, maybe even a Billie Eilish concert, whatever it is, you're not really going to find thugs, gangsters there. I mean, maybe it's their secret pleasure, guilty pleasure, whatever it is, but you're not really going to find thugs there, Exactly. You're not really going to find people that are into Afro beats, Amapiano, Taylor Swift concert. You're not really going to find it. But you're going to find, girls that are into white girl music. You're going to find them there in the Taylor Swift concert. You're going to find people that are into pop music. It's going to make sense. Why? Relatability. You're not really gonna hang out with someone that you can't relate to at least on one or two topics. You're not gonna hang out with them. You're not. Birds of the same feather flock together, and it's simple as that. So, my third point, spoke about storytelling, relatability. The third point is the image, the look, the way you look. It's the way you look. Now, this is sort of overlooked, because you see, yes, you can be good at storytelling, you can be good at relating with people, but we can't speak about these two topics without your image. You need an image as an artist. What makes a great artist stand out from the others, from the pack, is their image. You need a specific look, a specific image that people can emulate, that people can want to be, Most kids, they like Spider-Man, they like Superman, they like Batman. Not only because they have superpowers, Because of the image. I love Spider-Man so much when I was younger. Because of his image. His suit. You know, the red and blue suit. My favourite one was the symbiote, you know, that suit when obviously he went black because of the symbiote gooey type of thing. You know, that was my favourite Spider-Man suit when I was younger. Why? Because of the image. He looked, in my eyes, he looked like the coldest thing ever. You know? It's about the image. It's about how you look, how you present to people, you know? And that's all it is, you know. That's what makes a great artist, is their image. You need a look. You need a particular look that can catch people by surprise. And when people see you, they already know who you are. There's no ifs or buts about it. See, you could be a good storyteller. You can be someone, you could be an artist that a lot of people can relate to. But what comes after that, what comes between all of that is your image. You know? It's your image. People, when they talk about it, they need to know who you are, because if they don't, like, it's gonna be hard to find you, to find who you are. You know, because as artists, as people, you know, as an audience, people they like to talk about their favorite artists. They like to talk about what they like. So if I'm trying to tell you my favorite artist, you're gonna be like, yo, so does he have short hair? Does he have long hair? Is he tall? Is he short? Does he wear baggy jeans? Does he wear skinny jeans? Does he wear leather jackets? Does he wear hoodies? Like, you're gonna have these type of conversations naturally. You're naturally gonna have these conversations. So if I can't really get your image right, how can people know about you? See, it's about your image. You need an image. That image is everything, you know. You must have a unique look, whenever you're making music, whatever you're doing. You know, when you're performing on stage, you know, you must have that look that people can just be like, oh yeah, I know. Like, for example, people know that, okay, durag and a hat, 50 Cent, you know? Simple as that. It's the image. You need to have that image. So that's probably an important point, you know. People, when someone's wearing a single glove, Michael Jackson, simple as that. You know, you need that image. Orange hair, Ice Spice. And it's genius. It's genius to include these things within your artistry, within your work. It's genius. As I said, people, when they're talking, they're gonna be like, oh, so how does he look like? Is he tall, short, whatever, you know? You need that image. So that was my third point. So the fourth point is just as important. The fourth point is just as important. And that's consistency. You know, you need to be banger for banger with your music, man. That's what makes a great artist from a normal artist. Because you see, nowadays, right, and this is kind of, I've touched this before on my channel, because it's not the first time I'm really speaking about these type of things with music. But you see, the audience of 2025 and beyond, you know, because of the social media, because of TikTok, everything we want is at the tip of our fingers. If I'm trying to watch a movie, Netflix. If I'm trying to listen to music, Spotify, YouTube Music, iTunes. You know, if I'm trying to listen to a podcast, you know, Audible. Got YouTube as well for that. If I'm trying to watch a video, you got YouTube. You know, it's never been like this in the history of your time. So that leads to people, they're just gonna be dissatisfied. Simple as that. It's because back in the days, like, let's say a movie would be released, you go watch it in the theatre, cinema, you had to wait a couple of months for it to be released on DVD. You had to actually wait. Nowadays, you don't need to wait for none. And of course, people are just gonna naturally be just dissatisfied. And the only way to really defeat that is to be consistent all of the time. Because consistency matters more than ever in today, the day that we live in, the time that we live in. You must be consistent with your art, you know. And that's something that I'm aiming to be too. I wanna bang out these videos all of the time whenever I get opportunity to. Every week something new, every week something new. You must be consistent. And the same thing with music, you know. One album is just not gonna do it. One song's just not gonna do it. People are gonna want more. People are gonna, and it's not really their fault. It's just how times have changed and evolved. You know, people that is consistency is what will really, really make you stand out from everyone else. Because being consistent is hard. Being consistent is hard. The older you get, the more responsibilities, the more things you have to do. It's even hard for me making these videos. It's not easy, you know. It's the commitment, and that's what you easily gonna stand up from the crowd, from the other artists, because most artists, they're not really willing to be that consistent, because it's hard. But because you're trying to be great, you're trying to be amazing at what you do, you're trying to beat the competition, you have to be consistent. You don't have a choice, and that's when it comes with music, you know. A great artist I can use, great example is Drake. Drake, no matter what people say, whether I have anything to say about him, one thing that they can't lie is that Drake's consistent with his music. He's been consistent. Drake, he's a very consistent artist. He drops bangers on bangers. Maybe some of the songs may not do well as his popular ones, but he's still consistent with it. Like, the last time I checked was probably 2020, 2019. I think he dropped an album back then, you know. But it's about consistency, you know. And he's the king of it. You know, dropping songs, dropping albums all of the time. I think almost every year, maybe once every 2 years, something like that, he drops something. Because he knows that, yo, the people of today, they're not like the way they once were. You can drop an album 4 to 5 years, people will be like, cool, I can, you know, I can sit with that. But people are not like that anymore, because if I can watch a movie whenever I want to, of course I'm gonna want my favorite artist to drop an album right now. If you can access anything you want, click of a finger, why are you not gonna want your favorite artist to drop an album right now? You're obviously gonna want to. And Drake definitely realized that. And he's like, yo, let me just be dropping music back to back to back, so that I could be at the top of the charts. And to be fair, he's benefiting off it. His music is still doing well. He's still making money off his music because of consistency. You need to be consistent with the music. You have to be. You have to be. Because if you're not, you know, you can't really be great. Because most are not willing to be consistent. They're not. So yeah, my last point on what it means to be a great artist is being your own individual. Is being your own individual. Is being unique and yourself. As simple as that. That's me saying it in simple terms. You must be yourself and unique. You see, like, the trends of today is not the trends of tomorrow. Same way, the trends of tomorrow is not the trends for the next day. The world changes, and the world is changing even faster than ever because of the internet. The world is changing faster than ever. And because of that, it's like, the only way for you to stand out is if you just be yourself. Because if you keep jumping on these trends over and over again, you're gonna get left behind, because the trends are always changing. You see, all of a sudden people are now wearing baggy jeans. People are now wearing flares. 2 years ago, people were just wearing normal jeans. Since when are people now wearing flares? Fashion changes. People change. And who knows what the trend of tomorrow will be? I don't know. But it keeps changing. And yes, as an artist, it's good for you to move with the times, as I said, about being consistent. But at the same time, you still need to be you. Because if you're just jumping on whatever's trending, whatever's hot, you don't know when it will get old. And that's why you need to be true to yourself and what you do, so that you can stand the test of times. You know, Like, especially when you're making music or anything like that, you can't be making music just for today. Your music needs to stand. Your music needs to be a statement that, yo, like, it could be 2035, it still is hot. Why is it that songs that came out 20, 30 years ago, you play it now, it's still popping? I guarantee if I was to play a song like Billie Jean in 2025, people are gonna be dancing. That's a classic. I don't think that song will ever get old. I don't think that song will, I don't know what MJ Quincy was cooking back then, but yo, I still feel goosebumps when I hear Billie Jean. Simple as that. A song like In the Club by 50 Cent. You play it now, people are dancing. Why is it? These songs are old, aren't they? You must be true to yourself and your art. Because if you're not, yeah, like, you may have a song now that do well, but 20 years, like, people are gonna be bopping to it, really. You know, or people really gonna be bumping to it in the future. It's just something to think about, you know, something to think about. But yeah, anyway, it's been your boy NATZ, aka the Hidden Legend, and hopefully this video has helped an artist or someone out there with their art, with their music. The world needs more artists. Don't be discouraged because, you know, of social media, because of AI, wherever it is. Don't be discouraged. Keep making music. It's a God-given gift, you know. God has given you this gift for a reason. Use it, you know. And yeah, that's what I have to say. More content is coming, you know, and you lot stay legendary.